Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, with a 36% approval rating, according to the ABC News Washington Post poll, Joe Biden continues to stonewall Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the House Republican debt ceiling increase. By the way, Biden's approval on the economy is also at 36%. And that suggests we're heading for a pocketbook election that could favor Donald Trump over President Biden. In fact, the same poll shows Trump at 44% and Biden at 38%, and it also shows Governor Ron DeSantis at 42% and Biden at 37%. So they both beat him. Now, all this means at this point, which is really just a snapshot, these polls are essentially snapshots of what folks are thinking. But anyway, it all shows Biden's in a heap of pre-election political trouble. Now, with that, you would think, with those rock-bottom numbers on the election and the economy, you would think Joe Biden would want to make a deal regarding the debt ceiling and budget reform. But apparently, he won't make a deal. Take a listen to what the president said in an interview just last Friday.
And the idea is someone for the first time is saying, unless you pass this ridiculous budget I have, which is the way I would characterize what the Republican MAGA budget is, unless you pass this budget, we're not going to increase the debt limit and we're going to go bankrupt. The United States of America is going to renege for the first time in history on its debt. And you just can't, no one's ever tied them together before.
Well, I don't know. All that sounds pretty hostile to me. I'll let you decide, folks. Now, Janet Yellen says the Treasury is going to run out of money June 1st. That's 24 days from now. She may have inadvertently done a good thing by forcing the White House, the Senate Democrats, and the House Republicans into a deal, maybe. I will say the Treasury can continue to borrow from various civil service, post office, the thrift savings plan. They can continue to borrow almost forever. But if the debt discussion comes to a head sooner, well, I think that's all to the good. Now, Kevin McCarthy and the House Republicans have a very good debt ceiling increase plan, no matter what Biden might say. Even Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has signed on to a letter stating that he and more than 40 members of the Senate GOP conference will not back any bill that raises the debt ceiling without substantive spending and budget reforms. Wow. So Speaker McCarthy has solid backing for his plan. Now, just to review the bidding, the plan would save roughly $130 billion for FY23 and puts a 1% spending cap on discretionary spending for the 10-year budget window. It also includes something like a $90 billion rescission for unspent COVID money. There are work requirements on key social welfare benefits, canceling the student loan cancellation, rescinding roughly $200 billion of greenie tax credits. By the way, the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act is now being estimated at well over $1 trillion by the CBO and a bunch of outside analysts, all right? And finally, the McCarthy bill includes H.R. 1, permitting reform that would unlock oil and gas spigots and reduce the overall cost of energy. So there's a lot of really good meat on the bones of this debt ceiling increase proposal. And also, the substantive Republican proposal opens the door to a good deal of negotiation on the proposals, maybe the timing of the proposals. I mean, I'm not going to negotiate with myself right now, but presumably Speaker McCarthy will lay this plan out at tomorrow's meeting in the White House with President Biden and the so-called four corners, meaning the two leaders, Schumer and McConnell in the Senate and McCarthy and Jeffries in the House. They're going to meet, and there's going to be plenty to talk about, and it makes no sense for Joe Biden in advance of this meeting to keep bad-mouthing it. That's what I don't get. By the way, another point. Although Fed Chairman Jay Powell isn't talking, I think a strong budget reform that estimates, I don't know, as much as $4.5 trillion in budget savings over the next 10 years. All that might take the pressure off of sticky inflation and the high interest rates that have been murdering the banking system. So the McCarthy plan is pro-growth and counter-inflation. It would boost King Dollar and add a lot of confidence to a sagging economy that grew at only 1.1% in the first quarter And frankly, over the past 5 quarters has grown at 0.9%, with a 6.5% average inflation rate. So you'd think that President Biden, with his rock bottom 36% approval, would want to get something done instead of just blathering MAGA, 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 which is nothing more than a divisive message. So I'll conclude, you know what's coming. Save America, pass the McCarthy bill. That's my take.